Have one final video on the house purchase and house remodeling stuff before I start the 1,800 square foot garage build series. I've already completed the garage and everything. I just got to share all the footage and compile it all. But I know a lot of people aren't too interested in the house stuff and the septic stuff and the remodeling, and they want to see car stuff. So hopefully this garage build is a good transition into automotives again, and hopefully people enjoy it. But today you're going to be seeing the sand mount septic install, completely brand new system. And this was one of the big reasons I got such a good deal in the house, because the original 1970 system was shot and no one went to deal with replacing it, and I was the only person willing to take on the project. And I did get the owner to pay for 50% of it, so that was a huge bonus. And system's been working great for the past year and a half and basically made the house livable and sellable again. So enjoy this video. Oh, day one of the septic, or the sand mound, complete. Basically what they do is they strip the top of the grass off, and then they literally plow it like a cornfield, and they dump 8 to 10 trucks of this sand. It's actually agrolite. It's this black kind of rock, and they start building this berm around it. And what's going to happen next is they're going to dump gravel on it. They're going to dig trenches, and then they're going to put all that PVC in there with holes in it. And pressurized water from the pump tank is going to fill those, come out the holes, and then of course leach down. So there's going to be 2 tanks over here. The first tank's going to be gravity fed from the house all the way over there, and then goes into a second tank, which is then going to pump it up through all this. just about finished getting the mound part done. They came in, they put stone down, all the PVC in it, and then topsoil on top. And yeah, it looks a lot bigger than it really is. It's about 3 feet, 3 to 3.5 feet tall from level. It looks massive because there's all this dirt around it that all still needs to be grass, and it still needs a bit of grading. You can see it's doing about a 3 to 1. So a little bit more grading over here. This is the input. There's going to be a tank over here, 2 tanks. The main tank that's gravity fed that overflows into the pump tank, and the pump tank that pumps into that pipe. You can kind of see, you can see the stone. And these, of course, are little clean outs so that if anything ever does start to deteriorate, the system can be cleaned out, but that really should never need to be done. Like maybe 10, 12, 15 years down the line. This is built for 4 bedrooms and I'm only 1 person, so this can handle a lot of sewage. I mean, it's tucked back here in this little corner. I can't do anything with this land anyway here because of the setbacks. So it's not like I could build anything back here anyway. I would be able to have flat land, but whatever. I kind of like this little mound because it'll kind of give me a little bit more privacy for people driving by on the street. Oh, more progress on the septic. Today, got the tanks installed. So here you can see is actually the input into the system. So this is one big tank right here. It has some inspection caps, and then it's got the main caps for emptying it out. So it comes into this one. Everything settles in this tank. There's a baffle so that it tries to get most of the stuff to settle in this tank, but any overspill will settle in that tank. And then there's going to be filter actually on this outlet that runs over here, and that 90s into this tank, and this tank's going to have the lift pump, and by the time it gets to this tank it's just, you know, gray or black water. There's no particulate in it. Everything's already settled, and that's going to pump up, and it runs up here onto the input into the sand mound, and then this basically goes into 4 rows of pipe. They already did this pipe that's buried in stone and runs through the sand and everything. Of course, it's got a bunch of holes in it so it can percolate. But getting those tanks in was a real big step. See, it's looks like a war zone, but we'll get some grass grown over here again. So the next step is to just basically run the pipe. You can see we follow these arrows. The old septic tank is over here, and so it comes out of the house into this old septic tank. So this tank's actually going to be crushed, and there's an outlet. There's a leach field. It's an underground leach field somewhere over here It's way underground, so that's going to be cut. Tank's going to be crushed, and then running all new pipe directly into the house, because there's actually a cast iron pipe in the house in the basement that's cracked all the way along, and someone's filled it with goop to try and stop leaks. So I'm getting the entire pipe in the house replaced all the way out to the new system. Might as well get it all done fresh so there's no issues with hot water hitting cast iron pipe and cracking it. So eventually we'll get to this and get it hooked up and get some grass growing on this thing. And this is a huge weight off my shoulders if I can get this done. This was this was like a 6-month project. The amount of planning and permits and contracting, and oh my God, so much went into this. And then pretty much got that septic install finished. Had to run an entire new pipe. You can see they had to dig up the entire yard. All new PVC, 4-inch, all the way from the tanks over there up to here. We got to clean out here, clean out there. And again, water comes through the house. It's all gravity fed to the first tank, spills over another tank, and then spills over to a pump tank that pumps it up the mound. Woo-wee! Put in a new ground rod. My old one was all destroyed and rusted. And here's the wiring for the pump. To clean all this up. But yeah. I also took down my fence, so it really opened up the yard. And they finished grading it, and it's really not that big once grass is on it. I think it's going to be pretty not too noticeable. I mean, you're gonna notice it, but it's not gonna be as massive as it was when it was just a big pile of dirt. Yeah, right about here is where my property ends. It's about 7 feet off that shed, right where that rock is. And you can see removing that fence, it just opened it up so much. I got a ton of room to put a really big workshop and a lot of driveway. It's 50,000 square foot property, and I can have 15% impervious space. And I'm only using like 5% or something, or like 3 or 4 or 5%. So I got a ton of room to build over there. I got a ton of room to put an addition on one day, or build up, or there's so many options here. And I gotta clean up this old fence line because it's a little bit of an eyesore, but I got all this to grow, and we'll start putting down seed here. Oh yeah.